As a result of a DIU special operation in Vladivostok, war criminals involved in the brutal massacres of Ukrainians were eliminated. According to Union sources, the Defense Intelligence of Ukraine conducted another special operation in Primorsky Krai, in the Shitova area near Vladivostok. According to the available information, the 47th Separate Air Assault Battalion of the 155th Separate Guards Marine Brigade is stationed there. The soldiers of this unit directly participated in the battles near Kyiv, Vuhledar, in Mariupol, as well as in the Kursk and Pokrovsk directions. The Russian 155th Brigade was particularly cruel to civilians and executed Ukrainian prisoners, the media emphasizes. At about 9 a.m. local time, a powerful explosion blasted in the parking lot of the military unit, followed shortly by another. Russian public media reported that a lot of equipment and special services arrived at the scene, and a helicopter was lifted into the air. The military and police are checking cars in front of the bay in Vladivostok. Earlier, a helicopter was seen there, Russian news channels said. The official cause of the explosions is an alleged incident with gas equipment. At the same time, there are reports of dead and wounded invaders. Eyewitnesses say that a large number of ambulances are working at the scene. We are expecting the obituaries to appear in Vladivostok's media and publics, the Ukrainian media sources in the DIU summarized. In the morning, a series of explosions blasted in Russian Vladivostok, after which security forces cordoned off the area and partially restricted traffic and inspected cars. Russian sources report the situation in Oleksivka, Sumy region, is deteriorating rapidly. Officially, it's being called operational encirclement, but it looks more like a complete disaster for our troops on the ground, they write. Previously, the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky claimed good results from his country's forces in the border area of the Sumy region, where Ukrainian and Russian troops have been engaged in intense clashes in recent months. Zelensky said he listened to a report over the past day by Commander-in-Chief Oleksandr Syrsky, and that Ukrainian forces are continuing to advance toward Ukraine's border with Russia in the northeastern region. There are good results in the border area of the Sumy region. The Russians are also suffering significant losses in the Kharkiv region, in Kupiansk, and in the Donetsk region, the Ukrainian president said. He said that Ukrainian troops are also continuing their actions near the city of Dobropilya in the eastern Donetsk region and are repelling Russian assaults. We are also acting according to the situation in the Zaporizhia region, the Ukrainian Zelensky added. Last month, Kyiv claimed that Russian troops launched a push toward Dobropilya, about 22 kilometers, 13.6 miles, north of Pokrovsk, a key front in the ongoing Ukraine war in the Donetsk region, though local authorities have said that the situation in the area has been stabilized. In April, Russia claimed to have pushed Ukrainian troops out of its border region of Kursk, where Kyiv had launched an incursion in August last year, after which Russian President Vladimir Putin ordered the creation of a security buffer zone along the border between the two countries. Since then, Moscow has claimed to have taken control of multiple settlements in the Sumy region, while its administrative center, the city of Sumy, has been regularly targeted by Russian airstrikes. Zelensky claimed last week that Russia's offensive in the Sumy region was completely thwarted. The Ukrainian Defense Forces successfully struck the command posts of the Russian Center Group of Forces and the 41st Guards Combined Arms Army in the Donetsk region with missiles and drones. The General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine provided updated results. The Ukrainian military confirmed the destruction of enemy personnel, including members of the command staff. The General Staff reported that on September 8th, units of the Ukrainian Defense Forces carried out a complex fire strike on the command posts of Russian forces in the temporarily occupied territory of the Donetsk region. By the efforts and assets of the air forces and the unmanned systems forces of the armed forces of Ukraine, in coordination with other components of the Ukrainian Defense Forces, command centers of the Center Group of Forces and the 41st Combined Arms Army of the Russian Ground Forces were effectively struck, the statement reads. It is noted that these enemy military formations are operating in the Pokrovsk direction. On August 28th, the command centers in this sector were visited by Andrei Belousov, the defense minister of the aggressor country. Shortly after his visit, the Ukrainian defense forces successfully struck the identified command locations of the Russian army. The General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine emphasized that these strikes on the aforementioned military targets significantly disrupt the command and control of the aggressor's troops and units. During the evening attack on September 8th, targeting military facilities in temporarily occupied Donetsk, the Ukrainian Defense Forces used a large number of cruise missiles and kamikaze drones. In particular, strikes were carried out on the premises of the Topaz plant, which Russia has been using to store and deploy its equipment since the beginning of the full-scale invasion. Photos published in local telegram channels show significant damage to the building. The locations of Russian forces on the grounds of the Research Institute of Complex Automation were also targeted. And we are continuing with our stories, which shows the full horror and internal suffering of the Russian army. Russian soldiers with HIV and hepatitis are pleading to be released from military service and allowed to undergo treatment. Instead, many are being sent back to the front lines without any treatment, and some are being sent into suicidal assaults as an apparent punishment. The Russian army is experiencing an ongoing epidemic of HIV, hepatitis C, and other infectious diseases, largely due to a lack of screening and treatment and a widespread lack of sterile medical supplies. Soldiers can apply for early dismissal from military service if a military medical commission, VVK, gives them a Category B fitness rating due to a wound, or if they have a socially significant disease, tuberculosis, HIV, hepatitis B and C. However, the Russian army's relentless demand for manpower, resulting from the huge casualties that it is taking, has meant that many men have been denied access to a VVK examination. They are being sent to fight regardless of their health condition, some with missing limbs. The Human Rights Project, Call of Conscience, has received many requests for help from infected soldiers seeking to get treatment or leave military service. For instance, February 2025, person with HIV and hepatitis C was forced to sign a contract due to violations of his probation, but communication was then lost. February 2025, person has HIV and hepatitis C. After receiving a VVK examination, he was referred to an HIV center for further examination and treatment, but was instead sent to the front line. February 2025. A certificate with a red stamp is in hand, hepatitis C, sent documents to Moscow for my dismissal. They don't give leave on veterans' leave. Today they tried to send me to the Special Military Operation Area. May 2025. Discovered hepatitis C, not being written off or treated. June 2025. I underwent VVK, confirmed hepatitis C, there was a refusal to initiate a case. No one explained anything about what to do next. They say you are free to go. A year later they detained me again and took me away as a deserter. They still say that you will go to war, but there was no VVK yet. But they say that even after the conclusion of the VVK, they will still send me to the front. May 2024. I found out that I have hepatitis C, but I am not dismissed from the army, but on the contrary, I am sent to the assault or to frontline positions. May 2024. I was contracted. Hepatitis C was detected. They don't sign my report. They mock me. Phones were taken away. What to do? I can't turn anywhere. They send me to the front. They refuse to treat me. June 2024. Hepatitis C is chronic, but I'm being thrown on the front. September 2024. I was declared a deserter, even though I have hepatitis C. I don't feel well. I passed the VVK and they wrote that I'm fit, even though I'm not. Call of Conscience recommends that people in this situation should desert and await their arrest. They should then be given a VVK if criminal charges are brought and there is a chance of dismissal for health reasons, but not a guarantee. In many cases, though, deserters are simply dragged back to Ukraine and assigned to stormtrooper squads as a punishment, where they face an extremely high chance of being killed. Some people sign up to join the army knowing that they already have an infectious disease. As a call of conscience, spokesperson says, this is effectively a means of committing suicide so that their family can get a large compensation payment from the government. There were examples of people who did not know what was waiting for them, but when they were at the front, they realized what war was, and now they are trying to quit. And there is another opinion from one of our lawyers. Some people have already given up on their lives so much that they feel that life is everything. And in this way, by signing a contract, they may try to get some kind of bonus for their families and children. To put it crudely, these are suicidal actions or actions associated with serious psychological stress.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Also, if you want to support Warthog Defense, please become our member and get early access to new videos, exclusive members-only videos, and become administrator in comment section. The membership link is in the description.
Rescues every day. We had a guy last week at 6 rescues in 6 days. He's doing the job every day.